Julian Vane was sprinting down 12 flights of stairs in a $3,000 suit. Not jogging, not rushing, sprinting. His Italian leather shoes slipped on the marble. His throat was raw from screaming a name he'd sneered at just 20 minutes ago. "Sam! Wait! Please!" Behind him, his assistant fumbled with his phone, nearly dropping it. "Sir, the investors are calling. They want to know about the land deal." "I don't care!" Julian's voice cracked. His lungs burned. "Find him! Find Sam! He can't be far!" But Sam was already gone. And so was the land deal that would have made Julian a billionaire. Because 18 minutes ago, Julian Vane, CEO, penthouse owner, self-made success story, had made a decision. He'd fired a delivery driver. Old Sam, 70 years old, limping, smelling of tobacco and engine oil. Julian had called him disgusting, got him fired with a single phone call. He'd pushed the old man out the door, hard enough to make him stumble. It had felt powerful. It had felt right. Until Julian went down to the parking lot to throw Sam's forgotten keys at him like garbage. Until he looked inside Sam's beat-up van. Until he saw the shadow box on the dashboard. The faded photograph of a young soldier in dress uniform. And next to it, mounted on velvet, a Purple Heart medal. The medal given to soldiers wounded in combat. The medal Julian's own grandfather had earned in Vietnam. The medal that told Julian everything he needed to know about the man he'd just destroyed. And now Julian was running, desperate, terrified, humiliated, because Sam wasn't just some old driver. Sam was the man who owned the land Julian's empire was built on. Past tense, owned. And what Sam was about to do wouldn't just cost Julian millions, it would cost him everything his grandfather had believed he could become.
25 minutes earlier, Julian Vane stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse, looking down at Central Park like a king surveying his kingdom. 32 years old, CEO of Vane Logistics, net worth climbing past $50 million, penthouse worth $15 million. A profile in Forbes called him the new face of ruthless efficiency. Today was critical. In 1 hour, 3 major investors would arrive. They discussed the Lincoln Park development, a $200 million project that would triple Julian's company's value. All he needed was one final piece, a 2-acre plot on the west side. The owner had kept their identity hidden behind layers of shell companies and ironclad non-disclosure agreements. Finally, yesterday, the mystery owner had agreed to meet today, 4 p.m. Everything was falling into place. Julian had ordered a $500 organic Wagyu lunch. Presentation mattered. The delivery was due at 3:15. It was now 3:19. 4 minutes late. Julian paced, jaw clenched, already composing the 1-star review in his head. Julian yanked the door open with enough force to rattle the hinges, and stopped. Standing in his hallway, his marble-floored, climate-controlled, $15 million hallway, was old Sam. 70 years old, maybe older, wearing a faded delivery vest over clothes that saw better decades. He was breathing hard, favoring his left leg, leaning slightly on the doorframe. And the smell hit Julian like a physical wall. Old tobacco, engine oil, sweat. "You're late," Julian said. Sam looked up. His eyes were milky with age, filmed over with cataracts like frosted glass. "I apologize, son," Sam said. "The service elevator's broken. Had to take the stairs. My hip, it doesn't do stairs like it used to." "Don't call me son," Julian snapped. He stepped back, pulling his hand away as if Sam were contagious. "And I'm not touching that bag. You smell like you've been sleeping in a dumpster. Do you have any idea who I am? My time is worth $10,000 an hour." "I'm very sorry, sir," Sam said quietly. "I'll just leave it here for you." "No." Julian pulled out his phone. Julian didn't care about Sam's 4.9-star rating. With one thumb, he tapped Report Driver, then Request Immediate Termination. "There," Julian said. "You're fired. Congratulations. Maybe next time you'll shower before you show up at someone's home." Sam's face didn't change. He just looked at the screen with those cloudy, milky eyes. "I understand, sir," Sam said softly. "You know what?" Julian stepped forward. "Keep the food. Consider it charity." Sam stepped back reflexively, and his bad hip buckled. Julian didn't help. He just watched as the old man struggled to catch himself against the wall, breath coming in short, pained gasps. "Now get out of my building before I call security to hose down the hallway. You're contaminating the air." Sam bent slowly, painfully, to pick up his cane. His hand shook. He straightened, looked at Julian one last time, and limped towards the stairs. Julian walked back to his window. He felt powerful. He felt in control. He had no idea that in exactly 14 minutes he'd be on his knees in a parking lot, begging, because Sam had left something behind, and what Julian was about to discover would shatter everything.
Julian was pouring wine when Marcus knocked on his office door. "Sir, there's something on the floor near the entrance." Julian barely looked up from his laptop. "What?" "Keys. Looks like the delivery driver dropped them." Julian glanced toward the foyer. A set of old keys on a worn leather fob lay near the door. Must have fallen from Sam's pocket when he stumbled. "Trashed them," Julian said, returning to his screen. Marcus hesitated. "Should I try to return them? Call the company?" Julian's eyes went cold. "Marcus, I just got that man fired for being unprofessional. Why would I do him a favor now?" Because nothing. Julian stood, grabbed the keys, and walked to the window. 12 stories down, he could see the parking lot. Sam's van was still there, a beat-up white Ford that looked older than Sam himself, rusted wheel wells, faded paint. An idea formed, a cruel one that made Julian smile. "Actually," Julian said, pocketing the keys, "I'll return them myself. I want to make sure he understands exactly why his evening went wrong." Julian crossed the parking lot with long, confident strides. The van was parked in the far corner, away from the luxury cars, away from the Mercedes and Teslas, as if it knew its place. Julian approached it, keys dangling from his finger, ready to toss them through the window, hard. But the driver's side window was already cracked open. Julian was about to throw the keys through when something on the dashboard caught his eye. A shadow box, small, wooden, frame, glass front carefully cleaned despite the filth everywhere else in the van. Julian leaned closer, curiosity overriding disgust. Inside the shadow box was a photograph, black and white, faded with time. A young man in military dress uniform, Marine Corps, square jaw, eyes that looked directly at the camera, with the kind of confidence that comes from surviving hell and coming back stronger. The uniform was crisp, perfectly pressed. This was a soldier, a real one. Next to the photograph, mounted on dark velvet, was a medal, purple and gold ribbon, a bronze heart with George Washington's profile. A purple heart. Julian's breath caught in his throat like a stone. He knew what this medal meant. His grandfather had one. It was a constant reminder of sacrifice, of service, of what it meant to put others before yourself. This medal meant Sam, Stinky, unprofessional, fired on the spot Sam, had been wounded in combat, had bled for his country, had earned the right to be called a hero. Julian's hands started shaking. The keys jingled between his suddenly nerveless fingers. He looked closer at the name embroidered on the uniform, S. Brennan. As Julian's stomach turned, acid rising in his throat, he pulled out his phone with trembling fingers, nearly dropping it. He opened the delivery app, tried to reverse the termination. Access denied. Termination final. No, 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 Julian whispered. No, no, no. A text from Marcus. Sir, you need to come back up, now. Emergency. It's about the Lincoln Park deal. Julian's blood went ice cold. Why would Marcus mention the Lincoln deal? Unless... Julian's mind raced. The pieces clicked together with horrifying clarity. The anonymous landowner, the one who'd refused to sell for 3 years, the meeting scheduled for 4 o'clock today. Julian looked at the name on the uniform again. S. Brennan. Oh, God, Julian breathed. Oh, God, no. He ran.
Marcus turned the tablet screen toward Julian the second he burst through the door. It was a property record, a legal document, scanned and uploaded, every detail preserved in bureaucratic black and white. Deed of sale, 1847 Park Avenue. Date, March 15th, 2001. Seller, Samuel J. Brennan. Buyer, Vane Holdings, LLC. Julian's vision blurred at the edges. He gripped the edge of his desk so hard his knuckles went white. "That's this building," Julian whispered. "This address, this land." "Yes," Marcus said. "Your father bought this land 23 years ago, paid $4.2 million for it, built this tower, built everything we have." Julian knew this story. His father called it a smart investment, the origin story of the Vane Empire. But Marcus was shaking his head. "I looked up Samuel Brennan," Marcus continued, "because the name on that delivery profile matched the name on this deed, so I started digging. Julian, you need to see this." A newspaper article, New York Times, April 12th, 2002. Purple Heart veteran donates millions to war orphans. Below the headline was a photograph that made Julian's chest tighten. Sam, standing in front of a children's hospital, shaking hands with the mayor. The article explained, in clear, heartbreaking detail, Samuel Brennan sold a prime Manhattan property for $4.2 million. In an extraordinary act of charity, Brennan donated the entire proceeds, every single dollar, to the War Orphans Education Fund. Julian couldn't breathe. The land his entire empire was built on came from a man who'd given every cent away, to orphans, to children who'd lost everything. "He kept nothing," Marcus said, eyes glistening. "He's been living on disability payments for 23 years, $900 a month. That's it. He drives deliveries because his wife is dead. His only son was killed in Iraq, and he's lonely. He just wants to feel useful, to feel like he still matters." "There's more," Marcus said. "How can there possibly be more?" Marcus showed him an email sent from Samuel Brennan 3 months ago. "Julian, this is Sam Brennan. I served with your grandfather, Edward Vane, in Vietnam. Your grandfather was proud of you. I hope you're living up to the man he believed you'd become." Julian's hands were shaking so violently he had to clasp them together. "Your grandfather knew him," Marcus said. "They served together, bled together, and Sam has been trying to reach you for months." Julian's mind flashed back to 18 minutes ago.
Don't call me son. You smell like you've been sleeping in a dumpster. The man he'd humiliated was his grandfather's brother-in-arms, a decorated war hero. Oh, God, what have I done? What have I done? Unknown number. Julian answered with shaking hands. Mr. Vane, this is Catherine Wells, attorney for Mr. Samuel Brennan. An attorney? Julian's voice broke. Why does Sam need an attorney? What's happening? Mr. Brennan has asked me to inform you of a decision regarding the Lincoln Park property. Heart-stopping realization. Julian's heart stopped.